Okay, we're going to start here. The number one way I get songs personally, this is just me, whether it's a melody or a lyric, is in the middle of worship. You know, I can write songs on my own, and sometimes it happens, but the number one way that I get the songs that I think work the best is just when I'm leading worship, actually. And there's those Selah moments where you're just pausing, and you're just stepping off the cliff, and you just start writing. So if you're a songwriter and you lead worship, create a culture wherever you lead. You know, we talked about that in my last session, where there can be freedom to do that, where people are at ease when you do that. They're not sitting there going, oh, this is weird, you know. Create a culture where you're inviting them in, whether you sing a small little hook that they can latch onto and do it corporately together. But if you create that culture, you'll find out that you'll start writing probably better songs. Because Matt Rubin says when it starts in worship, it'll usually work for worship. I think it's a good rule. The number two way that I think through the years that I've found that I can write the best songs is with co-writing or singing a melody idea that I've come up with maybe in worship, and I have it on my little phone. Thank God for the iPhone, my little memo recording. Everyone tries this. You got to get this mic. You got to get this little app on your computer, and I've tried all the little things, you know, to write songs, and I'm like, you forget it. The iPhone with the little memo app is the best, because guess why? You can text it, or you can email it, and you can just label what it is, and it's all archived in your phone, you know, got it synced to the iCloud so nothing gets lost. That's a big deal. One of my friends just lost his phone, and he had 3 years of song ideas gone. That's called carelessness. That would destroy my world if that happened. So what I do is I'll let a song sit. I'll get an idea, and time will tell if it's good enough. Give a song time, especially if it's an original spark. I call it a spark. You get a cool idea in the moment. The Holy Spirit's moving, and everything is awesome, right? Everything's great. But if you let it sit for a day or two, I come back with my guitar and I push play on it with my guitar ready. And I usually have another recording device. And the first thing that comes to my mind, if I want to add to that part that I already wrote, usually the first thing that comes to mind will either be 80% there or there. I'll give you an example. The bridge on shout it out and lift up one voice, right? I had the verses and the chorus to that song for a long time, didn't have a bridge, and so what I did is I remember to this day, I was in that office in there in my little writing room, and I had my recorder little thing set up, and I played that chorus, and sometimes it's good not to think really deep about what you're doing. Sometimes it's good just to let it just fly. Brian Dirksen says he shuts the doors so no one can hear him, and he just lets it fly. The creative process can't be, it can't be stifled by insecurity or wondering if someone can hear you. You got to just let it fly. You know, my dad, the first time he danced before the Lord, he shut all the doors and windows in his house, made sure nobody could see him, and then he cut loose. That's like songwriting too. Sometimes we need that. And I did that day, and that chorus came out immediately because it was one of those things that it kind of came out naturally. And that's important to do that when we're writing, to not force a melody or a lyric in your song for the sake of trying to finish the song. You know what I mean? Okay, number 3, I call it piggybacking. Whether someone else presents a song idea that they've already written, and then they send it to me. It's the same thing as like when I write my own songs, but like someone else brings a spark, and then I'll add to that song. That's something that I've found out that has worked for me. Is I'm able to hear an idea that you have, and then I can usually finish those songs that are add ideas. So some of you might need to start exploring co-writing if you're not a co-writer already. Like 50% of probably my better ideas have come from someone else's idea that they've sang, and then I write another section that I either use for their song or one of my songs later. Okay? If you're driving down the road and a song on the radio sparks an idea, get your phone and record it.